Hello! Good evening, everyone!
Sawadee
Happy
ka.
Friday!
Happy Friday!
Happy Friday!
Ah,
Yes, it's a very happy Friday. Oh my God, for all
yes!
fans.
And not just
So,
happy, it's a very wet Friday.
it
so,
is.
so
So,
nagkaroon
P.
tayo ng mga...
Maya,
Mhm. Go ahead.
go ahead, go
Sorry.
ahead. P. Maya, I think Ange, P. Mark, P. Mike, P. Patty, and P. Nico are back for another reaction video. So last week, nag-enjoy po talaga kami sa pag-game namin. Kami talaga yung nag-enjoy, hindi yung viewers. We made some
Kasi kami lang din
important
naman yung viewers.
we made some important life decisions last week. But for tonight, we are back to our regular programming. So the series that we will be reviewing is a highly recommended, critically acclaimed, and most talked about in BBSBL called He's Coming to Me.
Yes!
Starring the Kemables and Joables, Ompawat and Singto Prachaya.
Yes!
So, I'll turn over to P. Mark for the background on the series.
So yeah, hi everyone. Good evening. Happy Friday. So the series, His Coming to Me, is actually it started off. It's not your usual BL story because yun na no kasi ano siya, meron siyang ghost element. So when you read yung mga reviews about the series or like recommendations from those who've already watched, if papanoorin niya ba or hindi, most of them nililabel nila yung series as supernatural. So parang it's something different. So parang although most reviewers label it as supernatural. Well, except for the fact that Singto kasi dito is a ghost, but there's nothing supernatural about it. Believe me. So the series He's Coming to Me, it stars Om Pawat, which is Tan, and Singto Prachaya, which is Mes. And then all the other supporting characters, you have Gigi, you have Chimon, you have Sing,
Yep.
yeah, and the other characters as well. So it started off as well, Singto here or Mes is a lonely ghost. I can't stress enough how lonely he is as a ghost. Like he's so lonely. Like, sobrang lungkot niya. Di ko rin, parang kung ako yung nakakakita sa kanya, which in this case is Stan or played by Om, parang grabe. I think I would also do the same. So for those who haven't watched pa already, maybe you guys could start watching, and maybe we hope that this video helps you decide whether you want to watch or not. But really, it's super highly recommended. Hi Nico, hi Patty.
Welcome, guys! Glad you made it! Oh my God,
Welcome.
this storm.
Thank you.
So
Sorry,
difficult
we're
for
late. Yeah.
So Mark was just giving an introduction and background on the series.
Okay.
So, well, siguro ano na lang. I won't spoil as much kung ano yung storyline. So maybe siguro, I don't know, maybe throughout the course of this live session, may masaspoil kami. So if meron man,
Sorry.
bala na kayo. Sorry. Bala na kayo.
Sorry na lang.
Sorry in advance po.
Pero since He's Coming to Me is one of the highly recommended, so I think naman na madami nang nakapanood. Yeah.
Right.
So it's part of the one of the highest. I mean, ako personally. Sorry, walang background, nag-review na ako. It's one of the highest.
Okay lang yan.
So ayun, siguro ano lang, siguro two things na the viewers would want to parang wait or see kung ano mangyayari dun sa series. First is, well, I don't think it's a spoiler, pero kasi nag-start yung series na bata yung character ni which is
Yeah.
Sun. And then, throughout the course of the series, tumanda siya then into So that's one thing that you might want to see, you might have your opinions on, kasi ako personally, siguro later we'll talk about it, kung ano yung opinions ko about it. And then the other would be kung paano naglaro yung story and the premise that Singto's character is a ghost. And eventually, since it's a BL story, so naman, it's kind of predictable na si and si Singto yung pairing dito. So how would their dynamics be? So that's one thing, or two things that I think the viewers would really want to look at.
Right. Thanks, Mark. Siguro just to add to that na lang, fair warning na lang for those who are watching and you haven't seen it yet. There may be spoilers here, so we apologize. If you don't want to be spoiled, you can maybe watch the series first, and then you can watch this review so that you can maybe corroborate or see what our views are, and then see if they match with yours, or if they don't match with yours. That's okay as well, right? So, so Mark pretty much said everything. So maybe just a few trivia na lang, no? So I think you mentioned the pairings that it's and Singto, right? So just a little bit of a background on the pair. Si he started off with making Make It Right, the series, right? So 2016 timeline natin. So started with Make It Right, and then during that time, si Singto naman nasa Sotos, di ba? And then 2017 comes along, and then did Make It Right 2. And then Singto did Sotos S, right? So if you can imagine, think about it. If you are part of the fandom, let's say Chris and Singto fandom, of course, when you look for other shows involving Singto, you would expect, or you might probably want, na he would be paired with Chris, diba? And the same thing with he was paired with Tui in Make It Right for 2 seasons. So may fandom rin sila na parang gusto nila yung pairing naman. So this series, which was, I think, filmed in 2018 and then released in 2019, was sort of like a new pairing. So that's why you would see also comments from the fandom. So parang, sana ano na lang, di ba? Iba na lang, or sana sina Christine na lang, etc. So parang they really didn't expect the pairing. They didn't know what to expect from the pairing, right? So later on, we'll see what the opinions are of the Ps, whether they like the pairing, whether they think it was successful or not. Pero yun, just a little bit of a trivia, no? And I guess that's it for me. So we can go ahead and get started, unless you guys have anything else you want to say about this. Oh wait, I have one more thing pala. So because I just remember the title, diba? So the title in the original Thai translates to, they are celebrating Qingming Festival next to my grave. So I think that's from the point of view of Singto, who is the ghost. Kasi yun nga, lonely ghost siya kasi nobody visits his grave. Nobody remembers him, nobody celebrates his life during Qingming Festival, which is basically our All Souls Day, diba? So yun yung perspective nun. But maybe to make it understandable or relatable to a wider or international audience, it became more popularly known as He's Coming to Me. Because of course, if you're non-Thai, you don't know what the Qingming Festival is. So you have to research pa, diba, etc. Ayun. But then now, jump to 2020, it's on iWant TV in the Philippines. The title changed again. So now it's Come to Me.
Come to Me.
So I don't know. Paiksi nung paiksi. So I don't know whether that's a marketing strategy to make it easier to remember. But then again, that's what it is now. Come to Me. So yun lang. If you hear it referred to as something else, don't be surprised kasi nag-change talaga yung title. So that's it from me.
Mikey,
you guys have anything else to add? Yes.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yeah, we can.
Yes. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Baka pag na-translate na siya to English, baka to me na lang siya, no? to me. Paiksi ng paiksi.
Sa America, me na lang siya. Me.
Me na lang.
Me.
For me.
Okay,
Or
ako.
pwedeng from me, maging ano na lang. S na lang siya.
Yes.
So there. Yes. Anything else, guys, before we jump right into the first question? By the way, Tati and Nico, welcome. Thank you for coming. And
Thank you.
being here.
Thank you. Yes.
Um, Ayan. So may mga nagtag lang din ng mga friends nila. Si Kit Javier tuned in.
Oh,
Yay!
So let's say
Hi, Kit.
let's also say hello to Arnel. And then Lara is also
Of
tuned in.
course.
Hello, Lara.
Hi, Lara.
nice to meet you. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you want to share your opinions or your inputs, go ahead and put it in the comments, and then we can go ahead and talk to you about that as well.
Thank you for having us here. Charot.
Ano sabi ni Patty? What? Sorry, what?
Delayed.
Sobrang
Sabi
sakit.
ni chat. Naku, delayed si Patty. Hello.
Oo nga.
Hala. Sige. I think the first part of our discussion is on the screen. So we're gonna go like that, tama?
Can I start?
Oh, sure.
Yes,
Sige,
please
go.
go, Nico.
Hindi kasi feeling ko talaga parang I would want to start kasi I think sa atin lahat I would be like the least interested dun sa series, and I have to be honest, and I was being honest with you guys sa group chat natin, until Mark suggested na uy manood tayo nito. So sabi ko, there must be something about this. Si Mark na to nag-recommend So parang okay, let's watch this together. Diba? So, ayun. Pero overall, in terms of plot and character development, it did not actually disappoint me at all. I'm telling you. So, sabi ko nga, na parang, kumbaga kaya ko siyang i-align with the Theory of Love. I gave Theory of Love a 10 before, if you can still remember, no? Parang, later we will do the rating naman, but I super like this. Okay, why didn't I like the series? Kasi nga, I'm not really a big fan of supernatural narratives and beings and characters, to be honest with you. I'm not really a big fan of like mga sci-fi, mga alam mo yun, mga hyper reality, hyper sort of narrative na hindi ko masyado na-appreciate until this particular series, no. So siguro parang overhead question ko, parang why did they use the supernatural narrative or character to be able to make a point? Parang dun pumapasok sa isip ko, bakit nila ginagamit tong ghost story, right? Can you all hear me, guys? Hindi ako choppy.
Yeah,
It's good.
very
Okay
clear.
naman.
It's
No,
good.
you're
Okay.
not happy. We can hear you.
All right, thanks. Okay, so I think I'll start off with narrative choice. Siguro, di ba before very very like you guys can definitely parang flash out everything like specifically. Kaya sabi ko gusto ko mauna kay very collectivist ako mag-isip. Kayo will be like into like the details of the characters and the story, So ako parang I super like the narrative choice kasi it's not really about the supernatural beings. It's not about ghosts. To be honest with you, it's about social norms pa rin di ba? Parang if you notice, my norms yung human beings, and then my norms yung mga ghosts. And remember, yung struggle ng dalawang characters is to intersperse their norms together na parang, hey, ghost ka, human being ako, how can we parang coexist? Kasi like, the ghost would say, no, you cannot be attracted with a human being. And then human beings will say na parang, you are crazy for falling in love with the ghost. So parang yun yung struggle. And ang ganda kasi, ganun sa LGBT, diba? People will say that you're crazy, ganyan, it's impossible. So I think, it's a vehicle to tell that story. Kaya ang ganda ng narrative choice. It's not the usual. It's not like the practical story na parang nasa campus lang. 'Di ba usually yun yung mga tropes na nakukuha natin But this is different 'Di ba? So I'm like, oh my gosh, parang they were able to tell the entire story and make a point by making use of quite a risky kind of narrative, but it worked to us especially Asians, I think, especially for tayo na Filipinos, parang mas na-appreciate natin. I also super like the character of, is it Mes or Me? Kasi naririnig ko sa Thai.
Well, I guess it's yung placement ng mga sounds. If it's if it's at the end, hindi nila usually pinupronounce yung S. Like for example, si Prince, you don't hear it as Prince, you hear it as Pin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's meant to be
Okay. Right. So mess siya, no? So mess, yan. I super like his character. To be honest with you, na-appreciate ko lalo si Singto because of this series. Because he was able to show a different character altogether. Na parang, oh my gosh, kaya mo pala tong ganito? Na medyo soft siya. Alam mo, he wasn't like the typical, alam mo, Sotus na very strong-willed. Ito kasi, parang he was kind of showing, diba? Ito kasi parang, he was different. He was kind of like, go with the flow. He was kind of frail. He was kind of hoping, but not really. Pero alam mo yun, parang napakita niya sa atin yun. What's also nice is, he was able to show his desires as a ghost, and then the series was able to humanize that, you know. And alongside yung story naman ni Tan, no, parang he was sort of supporting Singto in the process. Kasi for me, like Singto was like the protagonist here, na parang siya yung pinaka, not necessarily main, but he actually drove the story altogether, you know. But I super like the interaction of the narrative choice and the character because it told a really clear point, no. Gustong-gusto ko yung paggamit ng supernatural narrative, and then siguro ang question ko na lang in my head, parang bakit ginamit nila yung supernatural narrative and story, and then how is it related to the LGBT challenge? Parang how is it telling the boys love point, diba? Yun yung nasa isip ko. And then it made a clear point why. Remember may mga parts doon na parang yung dalawang friends ni Tan, diba? Parang he was talking out in the space na parang ano ba to? Is he crazy? Is he a drug addict? Diba sabi niya ni anong character? Sinong diba? Parang anong character ni
Si Prince, tsaka
yes.
si Q.
Si Prince, yes. Si Prince was saying na parang, hey, call this hotline 168 or something na parang you might need help. Di ba parang gano'n? So parang ang ganda ng pagkakakwento because ang sinasabi parang you're crazy, you're a drug addict. Parang it's the same with LGBT back then, di ba? Parang I believe that the association of AAPA, no? The American Psychological Association has already omitted homosexuality as a disorder. Pero in the story, parang it's saying that people are looking at homosexuality as, I don't know, parang being crazy or whatnot. And I think the series was able to tell that story. Ang galing. Kasi sabi ko, oh my gosh, parang kung tutuusin, if you took it literally, na parang it's about supernatural beings, parang hindi mo siya ma-appreciate. But if you go beyond and say na, oh my gosh, kaya pala supernatural beings yung kwento or narrative because it's making a point that, you know, people look at homosexuality as being crazy. But in reality, dun sa series, parang nakwento nila na maigi, na parang it's not really at the end of the day. Na-mention ko rin kanina yung challenge ng dalawang norms, di ba? Na parang human beings will say na parang, hey, you don't actually talk to spirits. Di ba? It's either you don't believe or you believe in spirits, but you don't actually talk in spirits kasi we don't see spirits, okay? Pero sa reality naman ni Tan, parang, hey, I see spirits, why can't I talk to them? Diba? So, binangga na yung parang status quo. Si Mess naman, parang yung mga spirit friends niya, diba? Si Gunsmile, what's his name doon? And then the other girl na nasa Sotus S, I forgot.
Si Jeng.
Si Jeng, yan. Yan. Ayan, super gusto ko yung character nila na parang they were empathetic ghosts there, you know. But parang si Gunsmile was saying na parang, hey, you cannot be attracted to human beings, ganyan, because you're a ghost. Parang we have our world here. Iba yan, mag-antay ka na lang. But Mess went up against the status quo Doon na shaken up yung story and narrative So basically, ang challenge talaga doon, in any boys love or LGBT, we always talaga, no, very collective. Parang we always challenge the status quo regardless diba? So to me, that was very beautiful for this series. And ako overall, last ko na talaga to, no? Parang, I super like the flow of the plot of all the BL series I've seen. Parang ang linis ng transition, especially pag may mga cliffhangers na at the end of every episode. Na parang,
oh my gosh.
diba? Parang, oh my gosh. I mean, seriously, hindi ako nag-exaggerate or anything, ha? Parang, hindi siya annoying In some BLs, I will not mention kung anong BL series to. Kay Filipino or Thai ito, parang naiinis ako na parang ano ba? Parang kailangan ba talaga mag-end ng ganon? Diba? But there's this one, parang oh my gosh, parang I was sa tama yung sabi ni Mark kaya mong tapusin ng isang araw. Tinapos ko talaga siya ng isang araw. Tell you honestly. Because to me, parang sayang kung ipapagbukas ko pa siya So, overall, I like the narrative choice, the character. It was able to make sense and say or tell the message. And the flow was just, I don't know. I don't know if perfect is like the word, pero sobrang, kumbaga diba nanggaling tayong Game Boys, and I'm like, parang ayoko na itong manood ng tayo na BL na series. Until this, na parang, oh my gosh, parang kailangan ko na itong bumalik ng tayo BL for now. Yun lang for me. So, yay! Happy ako sa series na to. Yun lang.
Okay, wait lang. Before we proceed, meron lang nag-comment. So, Ronald just wishes for a shout out. So he said, Ronald, Alan, Antonio, kudos to Chimon and Sing for being the support characters in this series. I also love them.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Okay, so who's
In
next?
fairness, cute si Chimon, promise.
Oo.
Actually,
Yeah.
actually, whatever naman si Shimon, he does a really good job. Whatever character or role he plays, I mean, he's able to really give justice to the role, no matter what it is.
True.
Yeah.
Mikey
He's
must
very believable as an actor.
Sorry. Yes, Mark?
Sorry. Mikey,
Sorry.
ano?
Ayan.
Go, Mark, go.
Sorry sa connection kasi. Nagkakaanuhan tayo. Mark, go.
Sorry na.
So, eto po, para tayo nasa Zoom meeting na. Okay, go ahead.
My God. CLDT
Can you hear me?
Mark.
Yes.
Ka naman.
I was just saying that Chimon here is really a believable. Apart from him being a believable actor, well, he really gave justice din sa role niya here in this series in particular. Pero among the others din naman na ginampanan niya in other series, is really a great actor.
Yes, yes.
Pero merong movie sa Netflix, Mikey, diba? It's what's this? Sweet Boy.
Pretty Boy.
Pretty Boy or something.
I think Pretty Boy. Tapos si Shimon yung lead doon.
Ang magaling siya doon ha. Super. Wala lang.
Yes.
Gusto ko lang sabihin.
But he was really young there, no? Tapos parang his counterpart there, it was also featured in Lovesick, the series.
Sino kasama
alam
niya?
mo.
Yes.
I forgot his name pero yung guy doon, nasa Lovesick, the series. So parang marami talaga sila nag-start sa Lovesick.
Yeah.
I guess Ange was gonna go next, no?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kasi
go.
general din yung comment ko. So, just to give you a background, I've learned about He's Coming to Me when I was watching Together. Yeah, Together. I think I was watching a random video on YouTube about the best BLs out there. And then, nag-reddit doon siya. So, to be honest, I'm not a fan of fantasy or magical stories unless action siya, yung mga Avengers, ganyan. But when I watched the trailer, nagustuhan ko siya actually. Sabi ko nga kay Patty, papanoorin talaga siya eventually. But for some reason, hindi ko siya na-prioritize. May mga inuna akong panoorin. So I watched it in one sitting last Sunday. So,
Oo nga, grabe. Ang bilis
Grabe.
Kuya Tanto, no?
Hindi kasi na 8 episodes siya.
Right. It's actually short.
So kapag na-hook
lang
talaga
siya.
ako, tuloy-tuloy talaga ako. Hindi ko ako mapipigilan. Like na nangyari din nga sa Together. So this one, ganun din yung nangyari. So, about the plot, wala naman talaga akong masabi. It was consistent. There were no boring episodes. And to be honest, mas more kilig kay Singto kaysa kay Chris Singto eh.
Oh my God.
Actually, I agree.
Yeah.
Random.
Ayun.
Sige lang.
May bashers ulit. But if I will have to siguro a character that stood out to me talaga, it was Don's mom. I think siya na yung favorite real parent ko talaga. And parang siya talaga yung perfect example ng age and gender doesn't matter. Sobrang yung mom niya. And yun, sobrang ganda lang niya. Yun ang masasabi ko. If I were to mention siguro just a very, very minor flaw about the series, siguro yung ending.
Mm.
I thought they will really part ways talaga eh. Na parang,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, napanood
parang,
na ba ni Maya?
ay, sir,
Pala.
I was, as in, I watched the ending 5 minutes before we started because of
Okay,
internet
okay.
problems.
Perfect!
Okay, kasi baka ma-spoil. Oh my God. Spoiler alert, guys.
kasi
Be
grabe
warned.
yung build up na parang, oh my God,
Yes.
oh my God, ganyan.
Mhm,
Tapos
mhm,
biglang, ay,
mhm.
happy ending pala. Parang nasayang yung iyak-iyak nila ganyan.
Yeah.
Ano,
Yeah.
At saka ang bilis. Ang bilis. Parang biglang pagtingin. Oh my gosh.
True.
He's back.
Oo nga.
so yun. Ang
Yeah,
sadis
yeah.
nito, but I think, parang mas
to me.
may impact for me if they kept it as is na parang they'll part ways
Yep.
talaga. But
Yep.
other than
Right.
that, yun
Yep.
lang. Okay naman ako na happy ending. So there,
Yes.
that's my opinion on the
Yeah.
plot.
Same.
Right.
Same.
Yeah, I'll go next.
Oh, who's next?
I wanna go next kasi I just wanna pick up from what Anne said, di ba? Parang with regard to the ending. But before I get to that, I just wanna talk about yung expansion ng world nitong dalawang characters natin, di ba? Because initially, it started off with the setting being mainly in the cemetery, di ba? Because that's where they meet.
Yeah.
Parang that's the start of the story, right? So eventually, though, it became the dorm, and then eventually it became the school, and then eventually it moved on to other places, specifically to Plyfa's house. Diba? So parang as the plot goes along, parang we reveal or we discover more about these individuals, diba? Parang the world that they live in, the world that they move in, yung mga people around them that, you know, parang maybe have influenced them in the past or maybe have, let's say, a strong presence, diba? In their lives. So, tulad nga na sinabi ni Nico, nagustuhan ko yung plot development or yung flow ng story kasi parang hindi pilit yung mga kaganapan. Parang there's a natural, logical flow to it talaga eh. Yung parang hindi ka mapapag-isip na, bakit nangyari yon? Yung mga ganung bagay, di ba? Because for example, if there are revelations, it makes sense. And it really parang gives you a wider perspective on, kaya pala ganun yung nangyari. Or kaya pala ayaw ni Kwan pumupunta ng cemetery. Kaya pala ganun mag-isip si Tan. Kasi dati, di ba, pinagbubully siya, mga ganung bagay, right? So it really makes sense. And everything that happened in the story, and you can, disagree with me or not, but parang I feel na there were no fillers in that sense. Na parang everything led up to something else and everything helped in the development of the entire story, whether it's the main story or a side story. So, gusto ko lang yung pagkakatagpi-tagpi niya, right? I read somewhere na parang medyo isang bagsakan yung nangyari sa huli, no? Pero parang for me, parang I didn't feel that at all. Parang I felt na parang yun yung culmination eh. So parang dun talaga mangyayari yung mga big revelations, di ba?
Right.
Saka resolutions at saka conflict talaga eh. So for me, there was no problem with the plot. It was actually very seamless. It made sense. And there was a build up talaga eh. Parang sabi nga ni P. Maya eh, parang oh my God, nail biter yung series na to because as it progressed, parang you wanted it to bring you to that end eh. You wanted to get closure eh. Kasi initially, you thought it was just gonna be a love story, but apparently there's a side story na parang wait, parang
diba?
he doesn't know. He didn't really die of natural causes.
Yeah.
He didn't really die of a heart attack. So what is it, diba? Parang, and we are taken on this other journey of discovering what was it that caused his death and what may have been sort of like parang the bad stuff that happened. Alam mo yan. So yun, parang nag-expand siya. Tapos parang hindi siya overwhelming. And it wasn't too heavy as well. Parang, I wouldn't call it like a light treatment at all, but it was done, I think, in a way na parang medyo tasteful pa rin siya. So parang very palatable eh. Parang very relatable yung mga kaganapan. Now, in terms of yung love story naman natin, yung love story natin, parang, yes, it was sort of like an impossible task or an impossible scenario because they are, of course, from different worlds. But the more that they spend time together and the more that they talk to each other and the more that we see what they are willing to do for each other, parang we get that sense of hope eh. We get that sense of inspiration na parang, oh my God, it is possible, di ba? And one thing that I liked about the supernatural angle is parang for you to be able to love somebody, it's not just about the physical aspect, di ba? It's not just about being able to parang it's really about the person and what you feel for the person. And it knows no gender, it knows no age even, di ba? Kasi
Right.
parang it has always been that way for Ome. Alam mo yun?
Yes.
Or parang it just merely parang manifested itself in a different way. So I really like the plot and the development of that plot. Moving into the characters naman, each and every character had character development. Seriously,
Yep.
diba?
Yes.
For example, for Matt, diba? Parang he moves from this sad, lonely, parang okay, parang ano lang, medyo meek boy to this sort of like parang okay, no, I need to know. I want to know because I want to be reincarnated, diba? Tapos parang I want to find out the truth, whatever it may be. And then parang in the end, diba? Towards the end, eventually, he's able to parang gain that resolve na parang, sige na nga, even though we're from different worlds, I want to make this work, diba? Because love is love. So love transcends all boundaries and love wins no matter what happens. Diba? Naman, si Tan, di ba? Parang he started off really like medyo maybe not facing his sexuality, but towards the middle, parang he became brave enough to be able to really explore that and discover that, and eventually to be able to reveal who he really is to the closest people in the world. And because he was able to do that, now he is better able to focus as well on yung love nila with love nila ni Tingto. Tapos yung friends naman, 'di ba? From non-believers to believers. And then yung yung relationship between Lifa and Quinn, 'di ba? Nag-develop din 'yon. 'Di ba? Tapos medyo funny lang yung kay Xiao Kim kasi eventually he was able to see Moon. I don't know, and which is sort of like a weird plot point for me, but then again, it's all in the spirit of fun. So parang okay, so he suddenly sees this supernatural being and then parang na-enamor siya kaagad-agad. Anyway, parang na-open yung seeing eye niya or whatever, di ba? Ayun. Tapos si Juan, di ba? From not being cognizant at all of what happened to Beth to seeing him and there being that resolution and discovering her son and being able to accept him and showing that her love also knows boundaries. So I think I've already said a lot, but that's basically it. I mean, I really, really love the plot and the character development. I mean, there's not a lot I can fault in this series. There are a couple of things that I think could have been done better as well. Like sinabi ni Ange, parang I would have been fine if it had ended just there, diba?
Me too. Yes.
Yung maybe if there is a season 2, and I think somebody is hoping for season 2. One of our viewers said na still hoping and waiting for season 2. I think that's Ronald.
Yes.
Yeah, he's not giving up, diba? So
Of course.
maybe a season 2 would have been that maybe both got reincarnated and then they rediscover each other or they find each other. Tapos parang same timeline na sila. I don't know, something like that. We don't know, parang
Pero by that time, 40 years older na si
Medyo weird.
Tante.
Medyo weird yun. So maganda nga na parang reincarnate sila tapos same timeline na sila.
Yes. Diba?
Yeah. So,
Let's hear from the audience. Sige. So Lance says, this series falls into my wheelhouse because I love the fantasy and the folklore genre. Somehow this reminds me of the K-dramas like Goblin. Yes. Love transcends all, especially that they use the Thai belief systems. Correct. That's also what I like about this series. But it gives you, it brings you to the Thai psyche about reincarnation. And you also watch it in one sitting. Diba? Parang marami ka rin
very
natutunan
cultural.
about their beliefs. Correct. Diba?
Yes.
Ayan, meron lang din gusto mag-hello, si Ben Ayonon.
Ayan.
Hello to
Shout
this
out to
gorgeous
Ben Ayonon.
Shout out.
Chusera ka. Chusera ka, Ben.
May crossover na nagagana.
Pa-shout out.
Oh, shout out. Shout out naman kay Ben Ayonon. Shout out.
Shout out.
Hello daw, Nico from PLDT.
Baka naman PLDT, no?
Oo nga, baka naman. By the way, may continuation sa lahat ng comment niya. So yung 830 comment niya, he says, if the fantasy or folklore genre is used right, the quirks of each world should support the characters in the main plot. The problem for some would do that genre, we get too overwhelmed by the fantasy elements or they use too much fantasy that they forget the humanity of their characters or the audience to correct, di ba? I think in this series, mas na-highlight yung human aspects versus the supernatural world. Parang it's still grounded in reality. So that's why hindi tayo masyado na-overwhelmed with the fantastic world. Yun. Ayan! Sige guys, go!
Who's going
Sige,
next?
I'll go next na.
Go!
Patty. Sige, ako na lang. Super quick. Gusto ko lang kasi yung fact na it has both the form and the function na parang it had both a good concept, a wonderful story, and wonderful execution. Because some BLs had good story, had good concept, pero it didn't have good execution. Pero on the other hand,
I agree.
Good quality. Pero super bad ng story and super bad ng concept. But this time, it had
I agree.
the of both worlds. Diba? And sometimes it really starts with a good concept. It starts with a good story. And it stayed there.
Right.
It stayed cohesive in that centralized story. Na even
cohesive,
if there are, diba, even if there are like side characters or there are supporting characters, they still contributed to that overall conflict and to that resolution of that overall conflict. Kaya you're not overwhelmed as a viewer. Plus, at the same time, they also didn't force a lot of side stories or side love stories or side love scenes. And like, the other BL series, diba, na parang, as it turns out, they do not give justice to the other side stories. But in this case, they really just stuck to Om and Singto, which I like and I don't mind. And it seems like I can't get enough of the both of them. So, yun, congratulations for them for that, for being so cohesive and being so centralized in that story.
Yes. Parang gusto kong gumamit ng analogy doon, Maya. Parang yung ibang BLs dyan, chop suey, ito parang Greek salad. Charot lang. Diba? Na-analogy din ako, no?
Oh my gosh.
Diba? May analogy din ako. Hindi siya buffet na maraming putahe na hindi masarap.
Yes.
Pero you're like served a lechon meal that's like super good even just by itself.
Yes! Lechon ka, Om! Om, lechon ka!
Yes, guys.
Maraming mantika.
Masarap na lechon,
At malutong.
Yes!
Na kahit walang Mang Tomas, laban pa rin.
Yes! Ganyan ka, Om!
Ayan. Okay, who's next?
Kahit walang salsa, masarap.
Oo.
Yes.
Sige, go ahead.
Bulletron. CNT.
Yes!
Yeah. Yes.
Go, Patty
Okay.
girl.
So, ako naman, alright. So, for He's Coming to Me, sakto naghahanap lang ako ng series na another Singto series kasi natuwa ako sa kanya sa Sotos. So parang 2 weeks after I watched King Sotos, I watched He's Coming to Me. And hindi naman ako na-disappoint. Tapos nung nabanggit ko kay Ange na I'm watching He's Coming to Me, sabi niya maganda daw. And then so yun, mas na-encourage ako to watch. So initially, parang alam ko, parang my first impression of the series is that it's a drama series. So parang ako, okay, sige. So mag-ready na ako na tissue and all that. But what I didn't expect is that hindi siya purong drama or hindi siya super heavy drama. Parang meron din siya a mix of everything. But at the same time, it's not overwhelming. Correct. So parang funny elements would also include both si Pierre tsaka si Gunsmile as the ghosts, diba? Ang cute ba? Nag-add sila ng funny element doon.
And even in the Barkada, diba, si Sing, he's always in the funny guy. So siya yung may comedic
I agree with that. Tapos, so yun. Tapos, what keeps me on my seat while watching this series is that there's that mystery every episode na parang, wait, teka, what's gonna happen next? Parang ayaw mong tumayo sa kinaupuan mo. Ayaw mong parang gusto mo na lang tapusan the entire series because you can't wait to see what happens next. And I guess that's really something that really kept us watching the series and coming back for more. And then another thing also that I have to comment are the side characters. Yung side characters kasi wala akong napansin at least na pucho ang acting, na pucho ang role. Parang everyone has their role dun sa season. Wala okay, extra lang ako. Ganyan. So, it's something that I really love na parang na-utilize nila lahat ng characters. Walang sayang, walang tapon. Kasi diba sa ibang series, merong mga pang-display lang.
Totoo!
So, yun. And then, siguro naman,
funny ka.
in terms of so in terms of chemistry naman ni tsaka Cinto, guilty ako dito kasi parang
my God.
Ano ba? For Chris Cinto, siguro nasanay kasi ako since nauna kong mapanood yung Sotos before he's coming to me. So, I told Ange about it. Sabi ko, hala, parang magkapatid lang, parang kuya lang ni Cinto parang kuya lang ni si Cinto. So, so parang ako, magaling silang umarte, ang galing nila and all. Pero feeling ko, magkapatid sila, parang kuya. Siguro, meron akong notion na, yun nga, kasi I knew of Sotos, I knew of Chris Cinto, tapos alam ko rin na medyo malaki yung age gap nilang dalawa. So, guilty ako doon. Pero, nung pinanood ko ulit yung trailer sa I Want TV, kasi diba ipapalabas siya as Come To Me, so, yung tagalize na version niya, sabi ko, ulit ko lang, parang nakakita. So parang ako, okay, sige, I'll try watching in Tagalog ulit. So siguro when I have the time, I'd rewatch it again in Tagalog para mas ma-appreciate ko siguro.
Right.
And I guess it's also, I just want to say na it's a good thing for I Want TV to release He's Coming To Me first before Sotos para yung mga tao, wala silang preconceived notion of ganyan.
Agree.
We felt na parang very underrated itong series na to because everyone was like, Kristen. But then again, they didn't really give a chance to Sing to prove na parang, okay naman nag-work naman sila together. So, yun. So, I guess...
And it works very well.
Yeah. So, I'm very happy that yun yung move na ginawa ng I Want TV for this one. So, kung ipapalabas man nila yung Sotos and Sotos S, at least pinalabas muna nila tong He's Coming To Me. At least, diba, parang mabigyan siya ng justice and recognition in this series. Thank you.
Yes!
Yeah!
Yung ending na yun.
Tapos, sorry, may I just add pala. May just add lang pala. I also agree with what Mike and Ange said about the ending. I was actually expecting for a sad ending. Ready na ako na parang mag-reincarnate na or aalis na or basta mawala na lang si Ines. Parang yun, parang bula. Pero I wasn't really expecting the ending. So sana, ito yung isa sa mga series na sana magbigay sila ng season 2. Although medyo malabo. Pero still, diba? Sana. Sana. Tapos, another thing also, I'd like to also commend yung regarding the reincarnation. I like how they were able to give us a glimpse of a side belief na about the reincarnation. Kasi parang, ito pala yun, diba? Parang it really made us appreciate the culture even more and their belief even more. So,
Absolutely.
And speaking of endings, nag-comment din si Ronald about the ending. I want to know if it will end tragically, but a happy ending or Mess will be reincarnated and live in the real world. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Okay, next. Mars.
Ito na.
Resident critic.
Yeah.
Grabe. Okay. Ay, nag-ayos ng damit. Seryoso.
Matanda eh. Parang battle mode.
Yeah.
Hindi, actually, he's coming to me naman kasi if we will look into it as a show, as cohesive and collective as we can, it's a different kind of BL because of the supernatural element. But if hihimayin mo kasi siya in all aspects of what makes a good series good, actually there's nothing really special about it. Because first, they also depended, I mean, the whole story depended on chemistry. And Cinco, the whole story depended on charisma. I mean, yung pa-cute na mga scenes ni and yung mga pa-cute na scenes ni Cinco. So they really depended on charisma and charm. So parang those elements captivated the audience para manood tayo throughout the episodes. I mean, it's a very short series, 8 episodes, pero the way they use charisma and chemistry is so effective for viewers to keep on watching. So it's just like the other series. Like if you look at it in that perspective, yes, it's just like the other series. It's just like Tarn Type who used the visuals of golf para it keeps you on wanting to watch. But it also depended on the storyline. It also depended on comedy. That's why you have the supporting characters. It depended on drama. It depended on ito nga. Siguro what makes it different is it depended on the supernatural concept. Pero yun lang, that's what I want lang then to give a comment on. Kasi what makes it so relatable is that it's supernatural in a sense that it's not like Star Wars. It's not like, oh my God, wala akong alam na iba, Tron or whatever. It's not like Transformers kind of. Sobrang bakla, walang alam na sci-fi.
Mama!
Star Trek.
Ayun.
Ay, oh my gosh.
Nakatula. It gave us a different flavor of supernatural. Kasi when I first saw the poster with the genre and everything, so I saw na supernatural. So it might not be as interesting as the other BL series na nagustuhan ko personally. Pero when I began watching it, so it definitely proved me wrong that it's supernatural in a sense. It's supernatural. It's not sci-fi. It's fantasy, but it's not out of this world or like post-apocalyptic kind of supernatural, but it's somewhat cultural. So ako, especially as a social science graduate, so I really embrace that the cultural aspect of it being a sci-fi or supernatural element. So another thing lang for me is that as BL fans, we expect series. Actually, we really expect series to be masochistic. I don't know why. So, ako lang. Pero if BL series are not masochistic, it's different. Because it just like this one, it's a masochistic story. Kasi parang the goal of Ness is to reincarnate, and the goal of Sun is to help him reincarnate. And they both know that when na-realize yung goal nila is walang future for them together. Because since the very beginning, they've been very, very clear na yun yung goal, and they've been very clear na kapag nag-realize yung goal, they know na hindi mag-realize yung whatever nag-brew na relationship sa kanila.
Right.
So that's what makes it different for me kasi it's so straightforward. Parang the straightforwardness of the story, it really helps na 8 episodes lang siya. Kasi I think if they extended it into 10, 11, it becomes a bit draggy in a sense.
Wala na.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it it might lose the flavor of, I don't know how to put it into words, but it might lose the element of it being straightforward na parang, kasi unlike, alam, magne-name drop na naman, unlike mga Tarn type, for example, it's not as straight. Sorry. Ayan, ang dami pa namang nagustuhan yung Tarn type.
Sige lang.
Pero ayun, parang it didn't do the Tarn type way of storytelling kasi Tarn type kasi for me is not a straightforward story. Parang ang dami niyang paligoy-ligoy. It could have ended in 8-9 episodes pero they stretch it for so long. I don't know. So yun. So another thing din na relatable aside from it being a cultural kind of supernatural kasi especially for us Pinoys, parang medyo it's relatable in a good way or in a bad way. I think we'll let the viewers or the other fees here decide kung gusto ba nila yung ganong element na the characters seem too much intertwined for me. The storylines and the histories of the characters, medyo naging intertwined lang siya masyado. In a sense na parang, masyado siyang spider web for me. Na parang, especially dun sa storyline ng mother ni Ton, yung element na yun, na parang, although, sige, it helped in the sense that it added to the reason bakit kailangan tulungan ni Ton si Mes. Okay. Kasi it's beyond him already. Parang if hindi niya gagawin yung goal na nilagay nila sa kanilang dalawa ni Mes, parang it's okay kasi sila lang dalawa. But since na-involve yung mother, kailangan din niyang i-realize din yung kung ano mang what ifs sa buhay ng mother. So it went beyond him. So that I think that's a good thing in a sense na it made the story bigger. But medyo hindi ko lang, medyo dilly-dally ako in a sense na I think they could have put it in other ways aside from they could have put it in other ways aside from the mom being related to me directly.
Right.
Actually, super mindfuck nga yun, di ba? Sorry for the term.
Yeah,
super mindfuck talaga siya.
Really awkward situation.
Diba, you fell in love with the ex-boyfriend of your mom, who also happens to be the uncle of your ex-girlfriend.
Weird.
I know.
Pero ako nagustuhan niya yung concept na yun. Wala lang. Ang cute.
Pero nagtahi-tahi.
Yeah. It's not something you expect.
Yeah.
Pero it's not something you would think of then. So
exactly, right.
But it's not parang hindi na pinilit sa story. Parang natural lang. Kasi yung pang iba, parang pinipilit na dapat magkamag-alak sila ganyan.
Correct.
Yun.
Yeah. Pero ito parang, oh my gosh, parang you'll have that reaction.
Right. Siguro kasi from my perspective, I was just trying to enjoy the ride as much as I could. So parang all these events and all of these interconnections, parang parang as it came along, parang it was just a revelation for me. Tapos parang I just it remained like that for me. So parang I didn't really mind it. Like you mentioned, it's not something that you would expect. Kasi parang who in the right mind, di ba? Parang siguro it's because of the mind of the writer, no? Pero yun nga, parang for me, parang, ganun pala, oh my God, ganun pala, parang react na lang. So, yun, parang kung ano na nangyari. Oh wait, sige, let's involve the audience. Lance says, take note. They didn't have a scene.
True! Walang dagat! Walang dagat.
Complemented well with a turning point in the tears. Yes. So,
it's a roof deck.
It's one of the most pivotal scenes in the series, diba? Because this was the time when parang Meth was fading, and then parang si Ton, he was trying to communicate with Meth, and parang nagkakalabuan na sila, kumbaga, in that sense. No? And then he stayed overnight under the rain to wait for Meth to reappear. Right. Ayan. So, yeah, and actually, trivia, that scene won Best Dramatic Scene in the Line TV 2020 Awards.
Yes.
Talaga? Wow!
Because they weren't acting together. Mess was doing a green screen, and then syempre on-site si, ano, diba, si Han. Pero they were
Right.
still able to make it a very emotional and very heartfelt scene.
Yes,
Doon
yes.
nag-flicker si,
Correct.
si
Tapos
Bess sa
yung
background.
Oo.
Right.
Ang
face
galing,
na
ang galing.
siya ng ganon, yun. Actually, that's one of the two scenes that I really like in this series in terms of maybe character development or plot development. The other scene was, to mention kanina, was the revelation to the mom, di ba? Kasi parang,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, alam naman natin na it's really, really hard to tell the people that you love that you are who you are because you're afraid of how they might react and what might happen to the relationship after you reveal that. Diba? So parang,
Yes, yes.
ramdam ko yung takot niya, ramdam ko yung kaba niya, ramdam ko yung relief niya. Tapos, naiyak rin talaga ako doon kasi kita mo talaga yung iyak niya. Parang ragasa talaga.
Yes!
Ito.
Super.
That's what
Ang galing.
I like about si kasi parang when he really lets it out, it's all out. Tapos parang
I have to agree. Baby Diyos ko, die.
you just want to hug him, and you just want to take care of him, and then you just want to tell him everything's gonna be alright, baby.
Yes! Diba?
Mag-keme din ako. Sorry. Kayo na lang mag-cuddle, ako mag-keme.
Jowain ko yun eh. Kainis ng batang ko.
It's now my favorite coming out scene sa mga napanood.
Me too! Me too! Yes!
Yes.
Ganda!
I think, yes.
Super.
Ayan. Another comment? Ay, okay.
And it was, parang they really talked about it. Parang ano ba yun?
Exactly.
It was a
May sort of
real
resolution sa conversation eh.
Usually you would just hear people or the parents say, parang, no, you just love who you love, etc. But no, there was more here. There was more meat into it. Sorry, go ahead, Maya.
Ay, okay.
Yeah.
So let's just read a few more comments. So si Lance also said, on a side note, I hope, since we talked about the Tagalog version earlier, I hope they make the Tagalog dub of Sinto where it will reflect the age difference through language nuances like Miss Grab.
Yes!
Scene there, we're in.
Geronimo.
Agree.
Yung term for
tama.
is lung. So at one point they were in the park, I think, and it was Tony's birthday. And then sinabi niya na parang, oh, matanda ka na. Tapos sabi ni Singto or ni Mes na parang, no, when you're a ghost, you start aging. So 22 pa rin ako. Ikaw magte-21 ka na, di ba? Or something like that. Pero tapos tinawag niya Uncle Mes, so Lung Mes. Yung mga ganun nuance, tama. Sana ma-translate.
Yeah.
This is one of the things
Right.
I don't enjoy when it becomes Tagalized. Parang it becomes so Filipino that the cultural nuances of the original series are a bit lost. Although I understand that we want to make it more Filipinized because we want to reach a wider audience. We want to make it more relatable to the Filipino psyche. But I'm hoping that they could strike a balance between the two. Na kung ano man yung
integrity of the story and the relatability.
Correct. And all of those practices and all of those nuances. Kahit pa paano, baka ma-infuse pa rin doon.
True. Try nila Spanish, mama, no? Iba
Sabi
lang.
nga ni Rod. Correct. Tito, tita, gano'n. So,
Ronald said, not a fan of dubbed version. I always looked for the Raikantopeni intro.
Raikantopeni?
Ayos. Admit pa. Siya. Ayan. Pati, pabasa naman yung kay Lance.
Okay, another comment from Lance. It says, on Mark's comment, I think they reinforce the belief that seeing spirits could be hereditary. Hence, Tan could see too, just like the mom. In a way, no?
Yeah, actually.
Okay. So thank you for everyone who gave a comment. Okay, go.
Sorry. Okay, I think that's one of the things that we also parang it's one of the themes as well, di ba? Yung parang destiny or let's say heredity,
True.
di ba? Tapos parang one of the things that we learn is that there is such a thing as passing down talents and possibilities, but there is also such a thing as breaking away from those things. Like for example, in terms of yung Tanarun Siri family, di ba? So the uncle made a huge mistake, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we need to carry on that mistake. So there was atonement and there was a complete
Right.
360 Life, di ba? So parang may mga ganun.
Right.
And in terms of
Right.
let's say, seeing the dead and then parang communing with the dead, you see that as well. So parang may mga ganong klaseng stories, which I think is very, very enriching for the Thai culture.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next topic that we'll answer, what can you say about the production quality or series execution?
I'll go first
Okay,
again. Okay lang. Okay. So super quick lang to. I super like the musical score of the series, to be honest with you.
True.
It's not just di ba? It's not just the OS. Like super ganda ng pasok ng music, parang swak na swak talaga for me. And di ba? Kung sino ka man dyan, no? Kung sino may musical score natin dyan, no? Raikon Topany, salamat. I also like the cinematography. Super ganda ng mga kuha, no? Parang it's so reminiscent of Theory of Love. Maraming magagandang kuha talaga sa serye na to. So yun. Yun lang from my end.
Can I
Go!
just add, yung director ng He's Coming to Me is also the same director as Still Together, as
Dark Blue Film.
Interesting!
Wala,
Yay!
meron din siyang color scheme. This time naman, medyo brown reddish.
brownish.
And yellow.
Yes.
Dark Blue.
Oo.
Nakakuha na natin yung style niya. And since Nico talked about the music, gusto ko din yung medyo cultural version ng score. Yung parang medyo naging parang Chinese violin style mix yung audio. Was pasok siya in the perfect timing during the show. Oh my gosh, it's just so lovely. It just adds to the wonderfulness and the magic of the story. Okay.
Exactly.
Sige, ako na. For the production quality or execution, coming from the fact that He's Coming to Me has the same director as Dark Lucas, as as all these things, all these series na alam natin na maganda. So, ang ganda. Thank you, P.O. He did a good job.
Yes.
Talaga siya. So, yun. Na-excite ako sa Still Together ngayong gabi.
Okay, ako rin. Buti sinabi mo, Patty. Yes. Still Together, panoorin natin.
Panoorin natin mamayang gabi, 10:30 p.m.
Oo. Mag-watch party ulit tayo, mama.
Pwede.
Why not?
Sige, mamaya. Pwede naman. Pwede naman yun.
Tonight na, di ba? Tama?
Ano ko?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. O baka mag-adjust tayo ng time next week. Mag-adjust tayo ng time next week. Mag 10 p.m. na tayo. Charot lang.
live reaction.
Hanggang midnight lang sa lubong ng week.
Hanggang midnight to.
Go. Sino na?
Sige, ako na lang. Actually, wala na din ako masabi kasi parang almost perfect talaga sa atin lahat yung series. Siguro I will comment na lang on the animation. Kasi usually when Asians do magical or fantasy stories, sobrang baduiting na, lalo na sa atin. But in this series, though it's not really
Victor Magtanggol.
not really you went there.
I did.
Pero yun, so in the series kasi it's not really heavy on animation, pero meron. But they executed it nice. Parang hindi siya forced tingnan, hindi baduy tingnan, and Yeah, yung pag yung nawawala nga bigla si Pimes, parang yun, hindi mo feel na ay ang cartoonish naman nito, gano'n. So yun lang yung comment ko. Pero and then the rest, yun, perfect. Acting, cinematography, yeah, na-mention na. So there.
Right.
Oh, hindi
So
ko
my
alam
comment.
react na sa'yo. Please don't make it 10 p.m. Super late. Maaga
Noted
na sila
po.
matutulog.
Noted, Ronald. Sige. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Nakalimutan
Ako
ko
rin,
yung
yes, go ahead.
gusto ko yung version ni Sington ng OST. Parang I just heard it once.
Yes.
Hindi ko maalala kung pero I think I heard him sing the OST once lang sa buong series. But OST, it's very, parang heartfelt yung rendition niya. Plus, ang lambing kasi talaga ng boses niya. So, perfect sa kanya. Yun lang.
Okay. Ako naman, yung comment ko about yung production, I guess, isasama ko rin dito yung mga set, no? I really like, eto naman ako sa kwarto, parang Sotos Sotos lang. Gusto ko yung kwarto ni at saka ni Tan.
Yes!
Yes!
Super nice.
Ang ganda ng production design ng room.
Super.
Very intimate. Parang he's a basketball fan. So parang you have all of these basketball memorabilia and it's also in a very tasteful parang interior design talaga. Galore, di ba? Kasi may mga jersey siya na nakahang lang doon eh. Parang it serves as an accent. Siguro one thing na medyo may Michael Jordan, pa siya, cut out, gano'n. Tapos yung beanbag niya, parang basketball ball.
Cute, yes.
Ganun bagay. Right? Tapos gusto ko rin yung mga, yung mga scenes, yung mga shots, etc. I noticed that they went to Central Plaza, which is a very nice mall. Tapos yung tawag nila, yung park na pinuntahan nila with yung duck paddle na mukhang di ba? Yung mga ganun parang maganda rin yung shoots nila at saka yung mga locations. Now in terms of the quality of the film talaga, parang yung napanood ko kasi yung GCN talaga Tapos parang I don't know if there's a high definition quality. Pero yung kasi na yun, medyo grainy So I'm sure na since GMMTV, Line TV siya, I'm sure maganda, crisp yung magiging images pag napanood natin siya in its original quality. Diba? Pero yun, dahil GCN nga siya medyo quality. So if you guys find the better version, let us know. Send us a link.
Yung sub, I can't understand some scenes because of the song. Pero exactly, di ba? Parang medyo muffled tapos hindi mo marinig. And of course, yung mga subs, kulang yung subs, minsan, tapos parang you have to figure it out for yourself.
Wala na, nawawala.
May mga mistakes na gano'n. Pero this is not GMMTV or Line TV, It's the version that we have online.
Yes.
Diba? True. Yung sinabi sa mga animation, yung mga smoky effect during the intro and the outro as well, di ba? In fact, parang it kind of gives you that like K-drama feel din. Yung mga, yung mga smoky, different colors, tapos may mga effect na di ba? Mga ganun. So, I mean, I don't have anything negative as well to say about the production quality.
Right.
I also like the graves. They're very unique, di ba? Parang they're these little mounds. And it kind of reminds me of Hobbiton. Di ba? Kasi parang, recess siya sa hillside. Ang cute talaga yung mga ganun. So, I think overall, maganda siya in terms of production quality.
Pero, Mikey, parang I think you made hello? Can you hear me?
Yes,
perfect. Okay. I think Mikey made mention of the room ni Than, no? Parang I think ang nasa isip ko naman, hindi naman siya parang negative thing, no? But it's more of like asking like kung sino man production design, no? Parang sino ba namang basketball player ang maglalagay ng fairy lights dun sa headboard ng ng kama niya, diba? Parang really, yun lang, parang in my head, parang diba? Mama, sino ba namang, diba?
I think because in all the series that I've seen, they use fairy lights every time.
Right.
Like nasa
Lagi.
bedroom,
Yeah.
and let's say sa mga bars, and let's say sa Dark Blue Kiss,
Yeah.
di ba?
Yes.
When he
Yeah.
made up the room for the anniversary, there's
Kasi
always
together
fairy
na ako
lights.
meron
There's
na
always
din.
fairy lights. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
And basketball player siya, pero he's still, one of us, so that explains that.
Actually, baka yun yung point nila, di ba?
Baka. Pwede.
It didn't.
Ayan, may nag-agree kay Ange. Ange, I agree. I'm happy that it didn't fall into the Bagani School of Animation.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Magalis ko the animation.
Again.
Encantadia School of Animation.
Correct.
Okay, Mark.
Ay, ako na. Okay. Paano ba? Well, I think kasi in terms of the production quality, I think you guys mentioned it or na-mention na rin siguro natin kanina. Minsan wala na ring sense tong pagka-categorize natin kasi naghahalo-halo lang din naman.
Yes.
Pero I really like how I really like yung tawa ni Pipati. Tapos, I really like yung
Delete na naman si Pati. Go.
Ayaw nga.
okay lang yan, Pipati, mahal ka namin. Okay.
Yes.
But yun lang. There was this particular element dun sa production quality that I really like to commend is the use of, I don't know if, hindi kasi I'm gay, so hindi ko alam yung mga cars na yan. Pero I really like the use of, I don't know if it's a Beetle, pero the small car, or it's a vintage
my
car.
gosh, yeah.
I really like how they use.
After seeing that car, napag-google ako ng second-hand Mini Cooper cars. As in, parang gusto ko na rin mag-drive ng vintage Mini Cooper because of them.
Yeah, either a Cooper or a Beetle somewhat thing.
Yeah. Tsaka kasi it adds to the story, I think. Kasi when parang it shows na, kasi 'di ba technically si Mes kasi is like 20 plus years older than him. So for Thun to drive a vintage car, it's literally a vehicle. Pero it's a vehicle also then para mag-progress yung story nila kasi it intertwines yung age or yung generations nila. So I think that's at least that's how I see it. Then I have also observed that
actually.
I've also observed that if Mes is driving the story, nasa old setting sila. Usually parang yung sa kagaya nung nagsa-sightseeing sila o nag-overlook sila ng dagat ba yun or lake, I don't know, by the highway. Parang or like kapag nandun sila sa kung saan sila naglalagay ng incense. So pag si Mes yung nag-drive nung story or nung relationship nilang dalawa, it's always in an old town, it's always in an old setting. But if Tons, pag siya naman yung nag-drive nung setting and ng relationship, yun mo, nasa mall, nasa condominium. So parang it adds to the feel of the story and the really well thought of yung quality ng production. And as I would like to add din kanina sa sinabi ni Nico on the use of fairy lights, there was one thing lang siguro, a minor flaw. Kasi nung nanggaling sila sa mall, pag uwi nila, nakabukas na yung fairy lights. I was just really wondering, hindi ba nasusunog yun?
Yeah.
Oo nga, parang hindi pinapatay yung ilaw.
There was just,
Aming pera.
parang, pag nakabukas na yung fairy lights, na parang, okay. Baka hindi nila pinapatay. I don't know. Baka maganda yung quality ng fairy lights nila. So, bili tayo.
LED, light saving, energy saving.
And there's just this and there's just this
Motion.
one thing lang din, no? In terms of the acting. Because it's really obvious who drives the relationship. I mean, it's really obvious who has the bigger pull in the relationship. For me kasi, I think it's Thun. Kasi siya yung tao eh. So siya yung magre-realize at magre-resolve ng conflict ng story. Kasi siya yung physically able to do it. Pero it's really nice kasi coming off from watching Sotus and Sotus S, where Kong Pom or Singto is really a prominent and active character. It's really nice to see Singto in a passive but also prominent character. Kasi you could also see na parang in Sotus kasi he drives the relationship, he drives the story, he decides on things. But in this case kasi he lets other people or other person drive him into the story, into whatever element or into whatnot siya dadalhin ng character ni So it's really nice lang din na it's really nice to see Singto in such a versatile to be such a versatile actor na kaya niyang mag-flip in the two sides of the coin in terms of acting. And I really like then, siguro as I mentioned earlier, the use of charm and charisma ng mga characters. Ang effective naman kasi talaga. Super effective naman kasi in terms of charisma. So, ayun. Siguro one minor flaw, hindi ko siya matawag na flaw, siguro hindi lang ako ganun ka-appreciative dun sa element na yun ng story is kasi it was mentioned there na when they first saw each other, meron ng connection. It's just really medyo bothersome lang for me kasi yung age ni Tan at that time, it was like below 8 or below 10, I don't know. So, medyo off for me if you would think of it in a romantic way. Siguro lang, to set my mind at ease.
Baka ganun lang.
Oo, or like meron lang silang connection in not a romantic way, but in a brotherly filial way. So it's sana ganun. Kasi if it's romantic at that age, parang medyo off siya for me. Yun. Hindi pala medyo off talaga siya for me. Tapos ayun. Adding to that lang din, no, when Ton mentioned na the reason why he did all of the things in his life was because he wants to help men. Well, aside from its jowa goals, ganyan. Pero medyo siguro ganun lang din ka-heightened yung mga bata sa Thailand. No? Pero medyo hindi siya realistic for me na at that age you would really like follow every step that you have to do to realize a goal, that you would really think of that goal like 20 years ahead of your life. I don't know. Siguro nung 8 years old ako, hindi ako ganun ka visionary or forward thinking na kung ano yung na I really want to follow para malaman ko kung paano ko tulungan. I want to do this, ganyan. I want to do this at ganyan. So, medyo although magandang element of story, it's just that it's not as realistic for me in that very minor detail. And lang.
May additional flaw for me. Okay.
No, I was just gonna siguro naisip ko since you mentioned it. Naisip ko, 'di ba nung bata pa siya, he lost his dad. 'Di ba? Tapos parang the only person that he could turn to is a ghost. Kasi parang nobody could understand his grief. No one else could understand his grief. I don't know. Maybe he didn't have any friends before. So parang maybe because he had such a strong connection with Ness, na parang he wanted to do everything that he could. And maybe that realization pushed him to start thinking about how can I help Ness, etc. and so forth. And maybe doon nag-start yung journey niya to think of the steps that he needed to take. Pero yun lang, that's just a thought that brushed up against my head. Tapos one thing, again, yung di ba, yung subtitles, they're not perfect. So maybe the word love may have been substituted for another word. So baka tama ka nga, Mark, no? Baka yung strong connection lang or parang kinship maybe, but not necessarily romantic love. Kasi yun nga parang, and this is something that we talked about before, parang, did he really say that? Is that what he really means in that particular scene? Or maybe it's just a lost in translation kind of thing. So yun, baka that added to the element of parang, hello? Di ba? Parang nakakagulat nga naman kung romantic love na kaagad. Kasi if you're a kid, I mean, you don't really know, kaya nga tinatawag na puppy love because it's something that maybe isn't real yet. Maybe it's infatuation or maybe it's a connection, but not necessarily love in the sense that adults love or, emotional in that
Or
sense.
romantic
So yun,
love.
naisip ko lang, oo. Very interesting.
Correct. Buti pa sila may connection, no? Si PLDT walang connection.
Ay, gusto ko yun. Naipasok mo talaga yun.
Oo, correct. At saka meron pa akong isang comment kanina. So since Mark talked about the critics, ang critic ko lang, ang init ng costume ni Singto. Lagi siya naka-jacket.
Oh my God.
Pareho, pati yung flesh. Bakit kailangan pag multo naka-cardigan tsaka naka-jacket?
Pero I also noticed that parang yung mga Thai, ang hilig nila may layering eh. Parang they always have a shirt.
Yeah.
And parang a button down over it, which is open, but it's still 2 layers of clothing, di ba? Tapos nung pumunta ako doon, parang isang layer of clothing, init na ako. Sila nagdodoble pa.
Exactly.
Talaga? I don't know. Maybe it's a climate thing na nasanay na sila. I don't know. Pero di ba, pansinin mo, usually dalawa layer of clothing nila. I don't know.
Chinese, influence. If you will notice yung sa Meteor Garden, yung mga effort, di ba ganun din sila manamit? And actually, among the Southeast Asian countries, tayo lang yung mas Chinese influence yung mga Thai and other, Vietnamese ganyan. So,
Wait, since you mentioned mo yan, suddenly popped in my head, Harry Potter was mentioned twice in this series. Number 1, Chamber of Secrets, di ba? And then yung Platform 9 3/4.
Correct.
Diba?
Na hindi na gets ni Singto.
Hindi na kasi Singto! Because he wasn't around during that time, di ba? But it's so funny na parang, okay, so Harry Potter was mentioned. So, yun na lang. So something
just to
there.
explain sa Harry Potter kasi meron silang pinapasukan na parang wall going
To get to the platform. Yeah, the Hogwarts Express. Correct.
Yeah. So,
Yun. Yung papasok sila sa part ng library na forbidden or whatever. So pasok ka na.
Yeah.
Parang platform 9 3/4. Huh? Yun. So yeah. Ayun lang. Ayun.
Okay, ako the last comment ko na lang. Yung last comment ko na lang, as I said earlier, sobrang sobrang form and function. And speaking about the form, parang feeling ko kung magbibigay ako ng BL Oscar Awards, ang dami niyang matitake home na awards for me. Parang I will give it, siguro, one of the best soundtracks for me. Tapos feeling ko head-to-head sila ni Theory of Love sa best in set selection and set design. Especially mga cultural scenes, diba? Parang it will really also make you want to travel to Thailand, diba? Nung pinakita nila yung Chinatown, yung cemetery, yung temples, diba? Diba parang, oh my gosh, you'd want to travel there. Sobrang you'd see the beauty of the culture there. Tapos, parang feeling ko head-to-head sila for me Together the series sa best cry in a BL series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ako naman, naman siya kesa sa Together. Kasi parang yung cry ni Vin, di ba? Parang it was just him kasi. Parang I think for me kasi na-compound yung emotional impact for me kasi nandun yung mom, tapos nandun yung acceptance, yung So, I don't know. But for me lang naman. Yun.
Everybody. Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Naghang yata kayo, naghang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello? Okay na?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Sorry naman. I guess it's also good that we have some sort of an activity na siguro pag nag 6 months or 1 year tayo, parang we can have some sort of like an Oscars thing siguro. Diba? Na parang we have nominees ng BL's actors and then parang tayo magiging jurors and in the end, siguro we can ask the viewers to vote. I don't know, di ko alam kung paano. Then meron tayong awards night, parang ganito. Di ba? Cute.
Correct.
Diba?
So parang best basketball player in a series, Char.
Ganon.
So,
Best
Best
Sinabi ko lang
engineer.
yun dahil may comment si Lance.
Best
Lance.
engineer.
Si Lance, 9:18, may comment si Lance kasi sinabi niya na, I like that Tom Tawat is a believable basketball player and you see it in the physique. So may mga series kasi na sinasabi na there are certain Padawans who are into a certain sport but they don't seem to breed the characters' interest. Okay, alam ko yung series.
Naalala ko lang, may flaw pala to. Ginawa na naman yung dalawang kambal.
Hindi yan sa ito naman sila. Pero I know that they did a workshop for basketball. Kasi they're not really basketball players per se, but I know they did a workshop. And I think it was
okay.
So, parang yun. And,
pero hindi believable yung kambal sa akin na basketball.
Yung kambal.
Pero yung awkward. I'm so sorry.
Ayun. Pero since minention ni Lance yung physique ni can I just say,
Mama! Diyos ko dahil, physics pa lang. Diba?
Okay, next.
Ano ang sinabi nila doon?
Kung naka-jersey siya, I think
Lechon.
Best outfits niya. Thanks so much. That's it.
At saka na-cut lang ako kanina. Gusto ko din yung mga props nila at saka set design. Yung especially yung mga vintage stuff. Diba? Yung vintage TV, yung Walkman. Diba?
Yes!
Alam mo talaga na mess came from a different time. Pati yung monitor ng computer niya, luma.
Right, desktop to desktop.
Yeah.
Ayan.
Super.
Okay, so now we have talked a lot about...
Ayan na! Rating!
After we have talked about the story and the execution, now it's time for us to give our final rating. Okay.
I'll go first again!
Go.
Okay. Siguro I think after listening to you guys, I think the mention ni Mark and then everybody else, yung mga siguro mga wish list items natin sana for the series. I think it would have been a 10 for me sana for the series. Siguro parang overall rating ko, I would base it on my satisfaction. I'll give it a 9 for the series. Siguro hindi ko rin siya mabigyan ng 9.5 or a total of 10. Siguro dun nga sa ending dun din ako nakulangan na parang okay na sana ako na medyo malungkot. Kasi that's the meaning of it. It would have been more meaningful and purposeful for me. So doon. Secondly, I think the mention ni Mark, yung intertwine nung kwento. Actually, to be honest with you, medyo na-confuse ako ng konti na medyo slightly hindi siya naging appealing ng konti sa akin. Parang, totoo ba? Ex ni mama? Ganon. Tapos biglang kayo. Di ba? Parang wala lang. Parang, but to me, kasi it added something new. So parang na-compensate naman siya na parang, oh my gosh, parang revelation siya dun sa buong series. So yun lang, parang overall, I'm gonna give it a 9 because of those two items. Parang, may nagtanong kayo na, I think it was Ronald sa comments na parang gusto niyang malaman kung ano yung totoong ending. Ano ba talaga yung totoong ending? Baka kasi along the way, binago ng production yung ending because of clamor na give us some happy pill kasi ganoon naman ang formula ng BLs para baka si writer ang ginawa is malungkot talaga yung ending. I don't know, diba? So I'm gonna give it a 9, yes.
Crickets.
Okay.
Oh, Mike.
Ako na! Okay, sige. I'm also gonna give it a 9. Kasi there's a lot of and this is basically because it's for me naman it's on par with Dark Blue Kiss. And yung Dark Blue Kiss kasi parang ang ganda rin yung plot and storyline, yung character, yung chemistry. So it's all there. The same with Dark Blue Kiss for me. So 9 din for me. I was debating whether to give it a 9.5 because of the kilig factor. Kasi kinilig talaga ako sa kanilang dalawa. Pero yun nga, it was also the ending that maybe derailed it. Yun yung 1 point for me as well. The ending. Kasi parang for me, parang the build-up was so strong. Parang, and parang it was all leading up to that aspect na reincarnation yung parang culmination nito, yung ultimate end goal nito. And then parang they turned it around. Parang, and yun nga parang maybe naging fan service na lang yun. Maybe because of the clamor, I guess. Whatever. Na parang, in order for the fans to be pleased, they said na parang, sige, let's continue the story. Anyway, may number 1 naman, di ba? Na parang hindi pa tapos yung time nila on Earth. One of the reasons kung why it stays, di ba? Parang, but then again, parang, it made me wonder, parang, ano ba yung hindi niya natatapos Kasi, when he died, they haven't met yet So parang wala nang lacking except for that one thing na he doesn't know the real reason for his death. So yun.
Right.
But overall, in terms of the characters, si si Singto, I really, really love them. I think that they're great together.
Baby Baby
Okay, Baby lang naman 10. Pero yung series 9. Thanks, guys. Yun.
Okay, next.
Yeah, ako na lang. Ako, I'll give it a 9.5. 9.5 naman. Pero, kasi, I think, it's already one of my favorite BLs talaga. But it's not something that I will watch repeatedly, like, together in Game Boys. Kasi yung in terms of happiness meter, hindi naman ako super yung parang kiti-kiti na ganyan But, dahil parang sobrang perfect na series for me, mataas pa rin siya. So, it's a 9.5 for me. Because of the plot, the character development, everything was just so consistent. So, it deserves a 9.5.
Does.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Patty.
Go, Patty.
Yes.
It's a 9.5 too. Simply because of the ending. Medyo, hindi ako nasatisfied with the ending. And just like one of our audience earlier, I'm also one of those who are hoping for a second season. And then, siguro another comment also would be, ano ba? Another comment also would be, shucks, nakalimutan ko. Nasa isip ko na siya kanina. But, in terms of acting, in terms of everything, okay naman siya. Yun lang, nakulangan talaga ako dun sa ending. Tapos, siguro, ano ba? Yun, masaya naman ako. But, sana, ano ba? Masaya naman ako. Ano nangyari sa akin? Kasi 9.5, kinilig ako. Masaya ako dun sa overall. Masaya naman ako overall about dun sa story, dun sa series. Pero nakulangan ako towards the end. So still it's a 9.5.
Yeah.
It's pretty high. Ayun pala, I remembered. Kasi diba, we were asked in a couple of episodes ago, like 2 episodes ago, ano ba yung top 3 BLs natin that we will recommend to newbies?
Yeah.
So actually, coming to me, nandun siya sa number 4 ko. Parang konti na lang, lalamangan na niya yung Game Boys. Kaya lang, Game Boys kasi is more, mas masaya kasi siya. So, it's something that people will get hooked into.
Right.
Pero, the close ko is he's
Right.
coming to me. It comes in at number 4.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Ako number 3.
Yay!
Yay. Okay, Mark, go.
Ako din, just like the others, I'll give it a 9 because for the very fair and reasonable reason, yung ending kasi na parang, kung yung iba nakulangan, ako naman nasobrahan. Siguro I would see it na sobrang parang okay na ako na nag-reincarnate siya. I mean nag-realize yung goal and na-reincarnate sila. Okay na yan Pero nung bumalik siya doon, na parang parang medyo sayang yung 2 episodes kung lugmok ako para dun sa final scene.
Yeah.
Diba? Pero parang I would have, if they really want na mapakita ulit, kasi I think the viewers would also want then na hindi dun matapos yung story. Like the viewers would also want something na parang kasi we're kasi us as Filipinos, sanay tayo sa cliffhanger. I don't know
Yeah.
with Thai, siguro
Yes.
with the Thai entertainment industry, cliffhangers are something na i-rave about ng fans na parang anong nangyari. So, siguro that's what they wanted to parang resolve. Pero for me lang, siguro ano lang, pwede na sa akin yung nag-reincarnate siya after 20 years. For example, na tatay na si Om, may sarili na siyang buhay, may makakasalubong siyang bata na tinulungan niya lumipad yung
Yes.
lobo dun sa puno, tinulungan niyang kunin, tas yung pala si Mes. Something like that. Parang,
Scriptwriter, I love it.
Sorry. Ang alam. O GMM, punin niyo na ako.
Bakit yan?
Like anime.
Ano lang, I didn't need another Encinto moment at the very last scene.
Right.
It could have been an older version of Tan and the younger version of Mes na nag-reincarnate, and then maybe then mag-pick up if they want a season 2, then mag-pick up yung story. I don't know. Pero syempre hindi na siya romantic, no? Ang off na nun tingnan. Pero ano lang. Yun lang, parang naano lang ako, na super off lang for me nung final scene. And there's this minor, very little lang. Actually, nirewatch yung scene na yun. There was this, kasi, while the transitions are smooth and seamless, there was just one scene, I don't know if you guys mentioned it, na nung pagbukas ng mother ni Tan ng door,
Yes.
na parang, for me kasi, nakita ni Singto yung mom. So, nakita ni mom si Singto. Tapos parang,
yes!
Doon lang sila
Yes!
Yes.
Yun lang. Pero, ano na lang, siguro,
okay.
inano ko na lang, tinanggap ko na lang yung resolution na, okay, baka nga, sabi kasi nila na parang nag-disappear daw agad si Mes, which is true. Pero kasi for me, if bago ka mag-disappear, nakita mo kasi siya eh. So, I don't know.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I was wondering that.
Good point, good point yun.
Kasi she can see ghosts eh. So, and then he turned his head, diba? Which means she had the opportunity to see him. It's not like he heard the door open, he disappeared before the door opened. The door was already open. So, dapat nakita eh. So, tama. Yeah.
Parang may moment kasi na nag-lock yung eyes nila. So, I think dapat nakita. Anyway, yun. I'll give it a 9.
Okay. I'll give it a 10.
Go lang.
I'll give it a 10. Kasi nga super nail biter. It's something I couldn't put down. And it's also something that I will very happily watch again. It made me happy. Despite of the ending, it's still a happy show for me. So yes, 10.
Yes.
Alright.
Wow, Maya, go!
Si
And what is our
Lance gave...
Okay, go.
Si Lance gave it a 9.
Because of the ending.
Wow.
And si Ronald also gave it a 9.
May 10! Wow, mataas to.
No, perfect
So,
10 if
our-
there is a continuation.
If there is a continuation. So our final score is...
Oh.
Woo! Yeah!
Yay!
Correct.
Yan. Mataas.
Okay. So any parting words, guys?
Baby I love you! Charot.
I hope that there's more projects for him, seriously, kasi he's very talented. And I think he's also underutilized in some series kasi parang minsan pag supporting role lang siya, parang hindi na maximizing potential niya. Oo. Tapos well, Lance mentioned this as well. He did
in Jew the movie.
In Jew the movie, correct?
So really good.
I think
Jew, yes,
remake as well, diba? Kasi I think there was another story na similar to that. Bungee jumping of their own, I think, which was another Thai or Korean movie. But in any case, yun. So that was a good watch as well. Medyo tearjerker yung nga lang siya.
No, may comments sa Lance.
Yeah, that's what he mentioned. You do the movie. I was able to watch that via 123 Movies, I think. You can Google it naman eh. There's a copy. You can watch online.
And if our viewers will also want more of Ompawat, I
The
would really
shipper?
suggest you guys watch The
The
Shipper and The
shipper. The
Gifted.
shipper.
Oh my God.
Shipper.
The
Okay.
May,
Shipper.
may isa pa akong
And
baby
if you
doon eh.
want a younger version of him, Make It Right. Kasi that's his first series. Di ba?
Ah,
Yun. And
Okay.
he's also a very good character there. Very good character portrayal.
nawala na si Tita.
I know.
Oo nga eh.
Diba, 20 minutes pa.
Ayan. Bungee jumping na yun. Miss Korea. Thanks, man. Yes.
Uy,
Ayan.
nood tayo ng
Oh.
Still Together.
10:30 ba? Ayan, may time pa naman.
10 o'clock.
Alright. Any final words, guys?
Uy, baka yun yung i-review natin next week siguro, no? Still Together. You want?
May
Okay,
early
game.
Good brother.
Pero first episode pa lang yata.
Ay, kasi 10 o'clock. Ay, oo, tama. Episode that will air today. Oo, tama.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll review it next week. Okay, game.
We could. We'll talk about it. Ayan. So, any final comments, guys, about the series? Anything else you want to mention about it before we wrap up?
2 words, baby
Yes, I love you, baby. Oh.
Grabe.
Oh.
Baby can be a daddy, so.
Oh my God.
So I guess that's it for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for sharing all of your thoughts.
That was fun. It was fun.
Yes. Thank you very much as well to our audience for being participative as usual. So, syempre, via
Yeah.
si Lance. And Ronald, thank you very much as well for sticking with us
course.
until the end and for also sharing your rating. And Sandy, catching up to us. Hey guys, I am back again for watching this streaming. Hey! So,
Swaddy.
I hope you were able to pick up something, even though we were speaking Tagalog for pretty much the entire show. Thank you for watching and for being here. So, again, this is all just our opinions. Of course, we have different perspectives. You might have other views and opinions as well. So that's why we ask you to share your thoughts and your feedback in the comment section so that you can weigh in and we can also get your perspective on things. So we're really glad that you are interactive and participative. And if you'd like to give us suggestions on what you want us to watch or to react to or to comment on or to feature, let us know. Give us a shout out, put it in the comments, and follow us on your social media sites. So on Facebook and on Instagram. Yes, it's Bruhaha BL Squad. So we put a lot of content on there. We sometimes put games on there. So if you want to participate, just go ahead and reshare that and do your thing. Thank you again for watching, and we hope to see you again next time. Again, this is
Kopi na ka.
and bye for now. Happy weekend.
Happy Friday. Happy weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.